Okay, folks, here we are. We're ready for another edition of the Ramage Archives and Video. It's August 4th.
It's what?
August 4th?
Yeah.
August 4th, 1996.
Yeah.
We're at John Norman Sanders' home on McNeil Road in western Kentucky. And we have here Rob Roy Ramage and Opal Ramage. We're going to do a video and we'll get right into it. Don is our producer, director, sound man, and you name it. We'll start with you, Uncle Rob Roy.
Okay.
I'm not going to call you Uncle anymore.
Okay. All right.
I'm 61 and you're whatever, so
82,
we're
81.
out of that form.
Okay.
Let me ask you some questions, okay? Give me your whole name, the day you were born, and say your mom and dad's name. How's that?
Okay. My name is Rob Roy Ramage. I was born August 22nd, 1914. My mother and daddy's name was Bailey Ramage. My mama's name was Addie Ramage. And I was born in Lyon County, between the rivers. And I remember being about 3 or 4 years old. I remember back about that far, and we left the place that we was living, renting, and moved to a place that my daddy had bought. We left the Garrett Martin place and went down to was known then as the Woods place, bought it from Walter Woods. And I can remember before we left the Martin place, I was about 3 or 4 years old, that we had a big snow and it drifted up, and my Uncle Noble Ramage had me to jump off of the porch into the snow, and it went about shoulder high on me. And of course I was having fun. But then I faintly remember moving down the road on the wagon, and I can remember the trip, but I don't remember anything about the dates or much about it other than before we left the house where we moved out of, there was a superstition going on back in that time that you didn't move your broom with you unless you broke some straws out of it and left them in the house you're moving from.
Oh,
so I can remember them things, and that was when I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Well, that's good. You can go back that far. That is sort of your earliest memories.
Right.
Right? Okay, to go back a little, you were the, fourth in your family?
I was the third.
The third, okay.
To Garland, Newman, and then I.
Okay, that's good.
And
when you moved, then you were 3 or 4, but you didn't move very far. You stayed between the land and the
almost
lakes
hollering distance, right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what were your dad, Bailey, was farming?
Farming. We raised corn, hay, and tobacco, and I hated that tobacco patch.
I can understand that.
It was.
You never did come in with tobacco suckering tobacco all over your hairs there and your arm?
And hard to get off. And
wasn't it though?
When you'd leave the tobacco patch, you'd start picking up dirt and start rubbing it, trying to get rid of some of that tobacco stuff before you got home and had to wash it off.
I know what you're talking about.
But it was something. You helped raise some tobacco one time, didn't you?
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to that a little bit, you started school, I presume, when you were 5,
6 years old,
or whatever?
about 6 years old, and I remember going to school and remember back then we had to buy our own books, and we would look for used books. Money, back in that day and time,
right.
Money was hard to come by, and we'd buy used books if we could find them and go to school. But first we'd go to school, and the teacher is one-room school, and the teacher would kind of examine us a little bit and find out what class we was in last year, and she'd tell us what book grade to get. And we'd go to Eddyville then and look, they had used books over there. You could turn them in over there and they'd pay you something. So we'd try to get used books to save money, and we'd go to school, to that one-room school, and it was Garland and Newman and me and Leroy and Charlene. I don't know whether Christine went to school up there or not. Me and some of us had probably got out before she started school.
We were all in the same school?
All in the same school, one room, same time. Mom would have to fix us a lunch. We'd have to take her lunch with us, and she'd put it in a gallon bucket or two, and we'd take that lunch to school with us. spread it out when dinner time come.
Yeah, and fight over it, huh?
Well, no, we didn't fight over it. We just, she had one apiece, whatever it was, you know, it just, egg sandwich or whatever.
Yeah, you all got along pretty good, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
That's good.
For that big a family, we
What
got along.
school was that?
Sir?
What school was that you went
That
to?
was the old Brandon.
Brandon
School. We
Yeah,
was
I've
in the
heard of
Brandon district, but we could get permission from the school superintendent and go to Harvard back over about the same distance the other direction. And we done that, that I recall, a couple of different school years.
that. Well,
And so we, our education was very limited. I went to the 8th grade, and we didn't have cards, report cards. The teacher would just tell you whether to get a next grade, higher grade books the next year or what.
right.
And that's the way we done that. And Newman and I was, of course, we stayed at home longer than Garland, the oldest one. He went to Paducah and started work at the shoe factory. But Newman and I stayed at home, and we were regular hands in the tobacco patch and hay field and whatnot at an early age.
Yeah.
And we would come home from school and go to the tobacco patch or whatever we needed to do. And we'd even have to take off sometimes for a week or two to help get the crop back up in shape. And we didn't have it easy at all when I was growing up.
Right.
So it went along like that for, some of the years there I don't remember much about, but we come along in 19, I'm going to skip quite a bit because I don't remember a whole lot about it, but it come along to 1933, and we had the CCC, that was Civilian Conservation
Right.
Corps. And I went off to that. Papa went over to Eddyville and got me permission to go to that camp, and you'd get $30 a month when you went in, if you went in as a regular, was a private, and $24 of that would come home to the family, and you'd have $6 to spend yourself. So I had lots of money. I had $6 a month.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's good back then.
Buy a lot of chewing gum with $6.
Got in trouble, Donna? You got in trouble? So,
If you want to.
are you
We're going to.
are you hearing it all right?
He's doing fine, he thinks.
Okay.
He's going to do a check to see if everything is
Okay.
okay. So
Okay.
we're on hold. Nope. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
We want to, I don't know where we were. We were chewing gum or something for $6. I can't remember anything on that. Let me ask you a question about school. You liked school, I presume.
Well, fairly well.
Yeah.
I wasn't too keen
Oh,
about
really?
it. No, I wasn't
Well,
too interested.
What
in it.
did you like and not like?
Well, I just didn't like any of it.
Studying
Well,
was,
it tied
not
me
what it
down.
was.
It tied me down. I had to do something.
You wanted activity, not sit there and study.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's fairly typical. Don can relate to that.
But I kept my grade pretty good shape.
Well.
I'd work at it. The teacher would be after me, but I kept in pretty good shape.
Did you not aspire to go on to longer
No,
school?
I had no intention of going further because the money was one reason. You just didn't have the money to go.
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, if you had money, do you think you would have said, no, I don't want to anyway?
No, my
Okay.
thinking was when I was growing up back in them days that I'd probably wind up somewhere in a factory.
Yeah, and a lot of education didn't matter as much
Wasn't a whole lot
then.
of people had education back then.
It didn't matter as much then as it does later and now. Right, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, now, in terms of growing up, you would, what would you do when you came in from the field? What would you play? What games or what? We're talking about now you're, say, 12 years old, just as an example. Was there some game you pitch washers or
We
you
pitched
horseshoes and stuff, I
horseshoes
presume?
and kick the can. We played that and hide and seek.
Kick the can.
You never did play that?
I don't recall playing kick the can.
Well,
Kick
we-
the bucket, but that's a different, that's not even a game.
We'd kick a can and you had to kick it to a certain point, or if somebody the other side took it over, and you had a goal.
Oh, it was soccer.
Huh?
It was like
that.
soccer.
But it was can. We
They
called
couldn't
it kick the
afford.
can.
You couldn't afford a soccer
No,
ball,
no.
so it's
We
kick
didn't know
the
whether
can.
there wasn't such thing. Then,
That's
I don't
good.
get, okay?
That's good. Okay.
And hide and seek, we'd play that, and then we'd go to the woods and get on a grapevine and cut it off down here and
Swing.
have it where we'd swing out across
Right.
the creek or something and
Right.
drop off into the water.
That was exceedingly dangerous, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what made it fun, right?
Right. Go to the creek and go and swimming wasn't supposed to.
Right. Right. Okay, now think back to somewhere in your teen years or whatever. Tell me a good story, okay? Now, don't get carried away. This can't be 30 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Like, well, whatever you want to make out of it, all right?
Well, I can tell you one this is not a story. This is an actual happening.
That's fine. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. We were going, me and my brother Newman, mostly, we went possum hunting a lot. We had a good opossum dog. And we go possum hunting a lot, and we'd hunt all over the country up there hunting possums. So we made up a Saturday night hunt there one Saturday evening, and there was about 8 or 10 of us that was going to go for that night. We was going down into another location down Creek and River Bottoms, and there was some people that we thought after we got through with it that had a whiskey still, bootlegging, moonshine
Right.
still down there, and they
Right.
didn't want us down there. But anyway, we go down to this place and go into the woods and the dog trees. We make it up to the tree, and Garland, our oldest brother, he had a flashlight, and he goes up the tree and points his light down to the foot of the tree, and when he does that, well, there's a guy sitting there at the foot of the tree with a sheet over him, and he raises his arm up, gets up, comes toward us, and then when we take off,
I can imagine.
we really took off, and we didn't know what it was, and we started. There was 2 guys that were adults with us, and they was trying to get us scared so we wouldn't come back down there anymore.
see.
So they started circling that tree, and we thought we was just heading out of the woods,
Right.
And we've done that for a long time, and finally they said that we were lost. They said they was lost. So we, of course, was naturally lost from the time we started in the woods and got out of it. So we kept circling around that tree, and the guy that was scaring
Pretending
us
to be a ghost or
was
whatever.
a ghost
Yeah.
or whatever. He'd get the dog's ear and twist him and make them squall. And these 2 adults that we was carrying us around, they'd say, "Oh, he caught one of our dogs. He caught one of our dogs." And we thought there was really something out there. And we got talking about what it was, and they said, "Well, it might be a water woman." There was backwater was right all around us there. Said it may be a water woman. So anyway, we didn't know anything about a water woman or what. And they carried us around in that woods there for, I guess, for an hour or more, and finally took us out. And we found out the next morning what it was.
Yeah, they confessed up.
Well, they somehow or another, our adults, our parents got it out
I
of
see.
them,
I see.
And we was really hurting though while I was down in them woods.
What was your age at that point?
I was about,
9
I
or
guess
10 or
about 14 or maybe
Oh, really?
15.
I see.
Yeah.
Well,
But it was a scary time. Garland was still home. He left home when he was 16 to come to Paducah. So I was about 13 or 14, I guess. Anyway, we were really scared. There wasn't no ifs and ands about it.
right. Well, that's interesting.
So me and Newman, we'd been hunting quite a bit together, and we hunted for money. We'd hunt the possums and skin them, put them in a cup, keep them for a few days till we get a dozen or so, and then we'd skin them and stretch them and ship the hides or take them to Qatar or Edible and sell them to some skin buyer, hide buyer.
What was one worth?
We'd get hides close to $2 for some of them back
Well,
then.
Not possums, but some.
Yeah, possum.
Really?
Possum, great big possums they'd bring pretty good money.
That was not bad.
But we'd get from dime to 75 cents right along,
I see.
and we'd make. That's about the only way we'd make any money.
Was it only possums? You didn't catch?
We didn't catch any coon or anything else until later years, where this same dog that was hunting possums, Garland started coming up there, him and a couple of guys from Paducah, and taking them on up into what we call the Colon, and he started treeing coons, and he made a good coon dog also. And he tree squirrels, run rabbits, and tree coons, and we had a real good dog. So that took care of that up until about when I went to the CCC camp in
Right.
1933. There was two of us from Line County went to come to Paducah to get into the group that left West Kentucky, and we left Paducah in November. I spent Thanksgiving in Fort Knox, Thanksgiving Day and dinner in Fort Knox. When we went up there, I got separated from the about 200 that left Paducah on the train, and they told me I had to have glasses. So we went, they took us, me and some more to Louisville, and got us glasses and come back down and went up for the test. And he said, what are you up here for? And I said, eye test. They said, I need glasses. He said, you don't need glasses. He said, you just turned down on a kidney test, urine test. So I had to wait, start all over again, and I got separated from the group I left West Kentucky with, and didn't get back with them. I was out there in Fort Knox. They was in one area and I was in another, and I never did get back with them. And then about along in December, early December, or middle December, I was sent out as a replacement up to Harlan County at Putney, which was about 30 miles, I guess, from this camp that these people from West Kentucky that I left with established as a new camp. And we'd visit each other, this guy from Line County and one from Graves County that I was known. So I stayed there for 6 months and come home. I come home in April of 1934, and my family was down at Uncle Hobson and Aunt Margie Stafford's, and Newman had just got married. Him and Helen had just got married.
Right.
Your dad and
April.
mom.
Yeah.
So I went up to went from the railroad depot down at Grand Rivers up there and got joined back with them after 6 months, and we was enjoying each other. And that was pretty early in April, and before April was over, Papa had come to Paducah and rented a farm, Ari Byerly's farm.
Right.
And we got Marvin Parrish at Grand Rivers to move us down to Paducah in April of 1934. And I went just roughed around Farley School and what's called Woodlawn from the rest of 34 into, I believe it was in January or February of 35. We was having, me and Curtis Dowdy and Joe Rafferty and 3 or 4 of us put on a little what they call a minstrel at school. And we'd put the minstrel on down there at Farley School. And Curtis Dowdy and his girlfriend brought Opal out to this minstrel. And that's where I met her.
That's good.
At the school, at the minstrel.
Okay.
And that was in January or February of 1935. And then her birthday was February the 24th. And that was before her birthday, and she had her sister Clovis gave her a birthday party. First, I believe she had a Valentine party, maybe, but anyway, she gave her a birthday party. And by that time, we'd got to know each other pretty good.
Got acquainted.
So that brings me up to meeting Opal, who I'm married,
Exactly.
my wife now.
Okay.
So you can take her if you want to and
Right
bring her
on.
along.
Right on.
Okay.
Okay, that's excellent. Well done. Well, Opal, did you disagree with any of that stuff? You didn't know anything about except that last part.
He was blackface when I
Blackface,
first
huh?
saw him.
You
kept
mean
pointing
he
at
put on all that stuff so he would be in the minstrel.
Yeah,
Right.
he kept pointing at me, and my friend Mary and I had never seen him or met him, see, but Curtis had told us all about
I
it.
see.
Well, when he got his black off, we took a little drive and went for a Coke or something. I didn't know whether I wanted to date that boy or not. And he asked me for a date the next night, and I said, all right. And my dad was very strict. You came to the door and knocked on the door, or his daughter didn't go with it.
Yeah, especially
Daddy,
especially black-faced.
Well, he was clean then. But Daddy met him and liked him. He said, daughter says, that's a nice man.
Well,
Nice boy.
Right.
There's all boys to
right,
Daddy.
right.
And my brother found out he didn't have a job, and he was a salesman at King Woodall.
Right.
So he got him a job. Victor, my brother, he
Right.
was the one to tell me who to go with and where to go. And I took his word. I mean, I didn't do anything that Victor thought was wrong for me.
It sounded like it
And
worked out pretty well.
he got him the job.
Right.
Why don't you go back and bring up your early days?
Yeah, we'll do that when she gets through here.
Oh,
Go ahead
And
do this. You go ahead and
he
do that,
went to
but-
work. Well, our early days were spent
No, we're
courting.
not going to get into early days together. We're going to just where you met.
Well,
so,
yeah.
so you were sitting out there and watching this Rob Roy perform,
Blackface.
right? Was he singing or telling jokes? Or
Yeah,
what?
they were having a little minstrel, picking their guitar and singing.
Or did he sing?
Yeah.
Did he really?
We played on the radio. Had a little
Well,
band
see,
playing.
I declare, I didn't know all
You
this.
didn't know he was
No.
a radio star?
Don, we may have to get a little tune out of him here for
He used
Cliff.
to sing, "My little girl, I love you." That was
Well,
for me.
well,
see.
Let's hear,
About that.
let's hear a little bit of that tune.
And I,
Maybe you can finish us out with that, Don.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
he can be thinking of it while we're talking here.
yeah,
But no, seriously, you met, what is this, when you were about, what, 18, 19? No, you were 20 maybe?
19, I guess.
19, okay, and you were a little under that, I presume.
I had
She had her
my
16th birthday
16th birthday.
Oh, I see.
when we
Was
met.
it 16th or 17th? I believe it was
17th,
17th.
17th birthday when
Yeah,
we met.
birthday.
Okay,
At,
that's
we
good.
met.
Now, we are going to go back because I want you to tell
Yeah.
me your birthday, what year, and your mom and dad's name. And you were a Tabor.
Yeah, I was born in 1918. Oh, I'm supposed to look at the hand. Anyway,
19?
1918,
18.
February 24th. It's Sharp, Kentucky, out in the rural district.
Gotcha.
And Mom and Daddy moved to Paducah when
Mom
I
and Daddy
was,
being who?
uh,
Name?
Iris Wildy Tabor, T-A-B-E-R.
Okay. And your
And
mom's name was
Nanny Tabor.
Nanny, and before she
Nanny
married,
Nanny Till Tabor,
Before she
T-I-L-L.
married, she
Till,
was a
okay.
woman.
She was a woman
okay, that's
they
good.
were
That's what I wanted.
up around Sharp.
Okay.
But
So you were born at Sharp and lived at Sharp for a long number of years?
just 8 months,
I see.
yeah.
And then moved to Paducah with,
And I moved to Paducah on Bridge Street, 1830 Bridge Street.
okay.
And I lived within a radius of 5 blocks all of my life, even into my married life.
Yes.
When we moved to Florida, it
Until
was
2 years
within
ago.
that 5 blocks.
That's quite amazing.
I was known as Grandma Moses in the neighborhood.
Grandma Moses of that part of Paducah.
Yeah. And I
And
went
so
to,
you grew up literally there
Yeah.
with your brother.
well, I had a older sister, Cloyce Ravina,
Okay.
and then Victor LeGrand, Opal. And then when I was 5 years old, my sister, youngest sister, Dorothy,
Was
now.
born. Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you all went to school there in that neighborhood
We all
of
went to school
Bridge
at
Street,
McKinley School.
whatever. McKinley School, right.
And
Is it still there?
there's a
No,
church
it's
there
that
now.
church
Okay.
down there now.
Okay, they tore the school down and built the,
But my
church
boys went to school there too.
okay, okay, that's good.
And,
And did
I
you,
had
go ahead.
I had a normal childhood. I skated and played and worked. We were brought up to do our chores and work.
Work
Before-
around the house, not
before
go out
play,
somewhere
yeah.
and work, right,
And I'm glad of that.
that's good. You like school?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I
And how
made-
far did you go, Opal, in school?
I
To
went
what grade or
through
what?
the 9th grade.
I see,
But I made top grades.
well,
We just didn't have money for me to go on. That was the reason I had to quit.
You didn't really have to pay for the school, but you had to buy books and
Had
supplies
to buy
and things?
books
Right,
and clothes.
right.
And when you get to be a teenager, you don't have the clothes to wear that you'd like to have.
Exactly.
The day I quit school, I went to work in June after school was out. And I promised Daddy I would just work during vacation. Well, during vacation, I got to making big money then, $9 a week.
Right.
I told Daddy, I said, I'm not going back to school. Daddy was sitting on the front porch, and he went to crying. He said, daughter, I wanted to make a nurse out of you.
Well,
And I would have loved to pursue my education.
right,
Even now, I think about it.
right.
But that was one of the Depression times.
Very typical, very
Uh-huh.
typical problem. A lot of people had that problem at that time. Exactly. So you worked then,
I worked at
Uh,
Klausner's hosiery mill. It was
okay.
a silk mill.
I see.
And I worked there, after Roger was born, even after we married. I went back to work and worked a while.
Uh-huh.
And then Bob got to make enough money we could live without it, and I stayed
Okay.
at home.
Okay, that's good. So, so you were working there at the hosiery mill when you met Rob Roy,
Yeah.
and or saw him in the minstrel show, and we know the rest of that story. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Didn't take us long to fall in love, I know that much.
Is that right?
That's right. We
Well, that's good.
just felt
Felt like that was it.
it was just true love, still
That's great.
is.
That's great.
And we've been married 60 years, the 5th of April.
Fantastic.
We have our little ups and downs, but that's
Well,
natural.
Not surprised at that. So, so you met then. This was in 1934, was it? That
I
you
think
went
it
to the minstrel
I
show?
think it
and
was
saw
35.
I believe it was
35 maybe?
34 because we were engaged 2 years.
Well, that's what I was getting at. And
Yeah.
how long after that you?
It was in
you,
34, I'm sure, because we were engaged for 2 years.
Okay, okay. But he'd come over and see you. He didn't live all that far away. It was maybe a mile on down there. if
Oh,
I-
no. It
no,
was
not even that far.
4 miles, I guess.
Oh,
he
it
would
was.
walk,
Oh,
and Daddy would take him
oh,
home.
from out on Benton Road,
Out
where
there
you were
at the-
living then.
No, it was out there at the Marley place on
Yes,
the old on
right.
Clark's River Road.
Clark's River Road. Right.
Yeah.
Quite a little walk.
Yeah, quite a little walk on down on Ashbrook.
Got you. I understand
About
now.
4 miles, I guess.
I was thinking, I was putting you down where your grandpa lived.
Yeah, no,
You know, on Farley Street.
no, we
And
was.
that's only
We were
half a
about
mile or so.
3 blocks
Right.
back toward his dad,
Right, I got you.
But we had
just
some.
off of Bridge Street.
We had some hard times during our dating. We didn't have any money. We'd go to the picture show for 15 or 20 cents, but it's hard to get to 15 or 20 cents.
Sit in the balcony. They had 1, 2, 3, first floor, second floor, and third floor. We were up on third floor.
Right.
The film projector was right at our backs. But we had fun. We would sit in our living room at home and look through the Sears and Roebuck catalog. We'd plan our furniture, plan our house and all that,
Beautiful.
and just talk about when we could get married. We had sense enough to know we couldn't get married then, but when we did get married, we lived with Mom and Daddy for about three months, and we got. Where did we live? Oh, we rented a house with W.D. and Violet out on Clark's River Road. We took 2 rooms and they took 2 rooms. And I worked. And Bob at that time was working at the garage where I told
Right.
you my brother got him
Right.
the job.
King Woodall Motor
Yeah.
Company.
And we'd leave Violet there at the house. We'd all ride in Uncle Ernest's little car that he was letting W.D. drive. He would drop me off, and then, but I don't know how you got from Maytag, probably walked, but anyway, they'd go to work. And then at night, I'd get off and ride the bus out to the Benton Railroad crossing. That was at the end of Bridge Street.
Right.
And I walked down the railroad to go home. It was short distance. And, oh, that was our blue heaven.
I can
That
imagine.
little two-room house, and
Great.
cooking. And sometimes I'd get off at Mama's and call him, and we'd have a good supper that night.
So you lived there for a couple of
And,
years until you,
Not that long.
not even that long till you
No,
got your own
they
place?
they were going to make a nightclub out of that house, the people that owned it. So they tore our wall down one day while I was gone. I came home. They had tarpaulin up our kitchen wall. Well, I began crying and went to call my daddy. He come out there, he's going to shoot him. My daddy was high-tempered. But I think we moved back to Daddy's, didn't we, till we got an
No, I
apartment?
think we moved down to Uncle Ernest, I believe.
I can't remember. I think we went to Daddy's, took our furniture and went to Daddy's, and then got an apartment with Uncle Ernest.
I don't remember for sure.
And we lived there then till we got on Ashbrook. We rented a little
Right.
house across from Mom and Daddy.
Right.
That's where Roger, our first son, was born.
Which house you eventually bought?
The
I
house
think?
we eventually bought
Right.
and
stayed
remodeled.
in for 50 years? or-
47 years.
Yeah,
That's good.
but you remember
I
all
remember
that.
all that.
Yeah.
Coming to see you and playing with Roger and Mike in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, to go back a little bit on my side of the story, I had been working on the river, went out on trips with Ashwin on the river. And
Towboats.
on the towboat.
Yeah.
And I'd go up down to Tennessee and load out. They'd load out lumber and ties, and then we'd come back down. But I was going to be gone 3 or 4 weeks at a time, at best. And when I'd come back down, well, I'd just be down there and maybe drop out the bars and take another and go back.
Right.
And so I didn't like that. Neither one of us liked it. So I decided I'd go back and help Papa farm, and I'd get part of the crop, Well, I was working in the field. We was working on in the field, and her brother come out that morning while I was in the field working. Told Mama it when Bob, they call me Bob. So he comes in at noon, tell him to come down to the garage. They got a job opening down there that I think he might get. So I went down there, and I got down there, and Mr. King took me in and showed me what it was. And they had an old building that they built a ramp from the first floor up to the second floor. Then you made a turn and went on up, had another ramp up to the third floor to drive cars to store up there
Right.
for that bank building. There's a lot of people, was renting that
I see.
$5 a month for, they wouldn't have to run a place rent, just park and whatnot.
Right.
So he showed me what the job was about, and when I didn't have cars coming in, going out, I was supposed to help the man on the grease rack right in the corner there to grease and service cars. There wasn't no work like that to do. Then they'd bring a used car out there, put it on the grease rack, and we'd polish it, rub it out, clean it up, and polish it. But anyway, we could stay busy. And when Mr. King took me and showed me what I had to do, I said, Mr. King, I don't believe I can manage them cars up and down them ramps. I said, I'm not that experienced a driver. He said, we'll help you. He said, we'll make him.
Well,
And that's the interest he took in me just
good.
from the first
Right.
first meeting.
And they really were nice to us.
well.
So I took the job, and they helped me, like I said. And then they had a boy on the grease rack. He would also help with bring the cars up and down. So I took that job and worked at it about a year on the storage and the grease rack. I got the grease rack as head of the grease rack. A month or two after I went there, that boy quit. And I worked there about a year, and it's Chrysler Parts, Chrysler Corporation was selling Chrysler Plymouths. And a man come out there to the grease rack, the factory parts man come out to the grease rack there one day and said that our man in the parts department had quit, or they was going to let him go or something. He wasn't no good for it. He come out there and said, "Bob, we're going to put you in the parts department." I said, I told his name. I said, "I don't know anything about parts." He said, "Well, we know you don't. He said, we're going to train you."
Yeah, you can learn.
But he said, "I'm going to tell you this. If you can't go any further in this business, in this grease rack, then you need to find you another job."
That's good. That's good advice.
And so I said, okay.
Absolutely.
So I went in the parts department and took inventory, the first thing to do, and had $630 worth of inventory, oil, grease, and everything that was back there,
Parts
spark
and
plugs
everything.
and everything.
Well,
So I worked, I took that over and worked there, and then we had a flood. That was in 35,
37 was the flood.
36, but
Yeah.
37 we had the
Right,
flood.
right.
I was working there, and it destroyed our parts department by practically. And anyway, we come back and we had to restock and clean up the mess and everything. So I worked down there like that. That was in 36 when I started to work down there, and went to 49 down on 4th Street, and they built a new place out on Jefferson Street, and went out there in 1955 and 49. Continued with Chrysler product till 56 when they took on Ford. And from the time I started in 1936 till King Woodall sold out, I had worked 31 years for it.
Well,
And then I worked, they sold out and worked a couple of years or so for the new owner. And then I quit there and went over to Metropolis and worked about a year and a half. And then I quit there and went in business
started your own.
ourselves
Right.
there on Bridge Street in Paducah.
Right.
And started on a shoestring. But anyway, we built it up till we was making money. And when I went in business, I said I'm going to stay 10 years. I was 55 then. I said I'm going to stay till I'm 65, and I'm going on Social Security. And if I can't sell it, I'm going to
Close
lock
it
it
down.
up and give it away.
Well,
But
well, you
anyway,
didn't have to do that.
I didn't have to do that.
Right.
So that
Indeed,
was,
the place is still thriving, or appears to be.
yeah. So we made some money at that. Otherwise, I would have been working from hand to mouth for a dealer somewhere.
Right.
And using money every time payday'd come up, I'd have it already spent, I guess.
Right.
But
Right.
we
That's
we
good.
saved some money at that. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good report on your career.
and we went to get married in 36, April of 36, and went over to Metropolis to get married. And my sister Charlene and Garland and Beulah May went with us. In fact, Garland took us over in his car, and we went over and got married. Going and coming, well, I had a check coming from Ashman, River
Oh,
people.
this is while you were still working. When you married, you were not at the
not
at
at
the
the
auto.
at that time.
I got you. Okay.
And so Opal had payday coming to hosiery mill, and I didn't have enough money because I hadn't got my pay from the Ashman. I didn't have enough money to pay our bridge toll over there and back.
Oh.
So I had to get money from her to pay our bridge toll to get married.
Well, that's all right.
Huh?
That's
So
all
we,
right.
but
Let's
we-
ask her why you went over there to start with. Why didn't you get married in Kentucky?
well, she wasn't old enough.
Oh, so you go over
Back
there
then-
'cause
back
you
then
could
you
get
had to-
married at a younger age. Or
Back
Well,
then, you had
everybody
to
just
get-
went to Metropolis,
I see.
you know, that
I
was
see.
our age. You go someplace and get married.
Yeah.
You had to be 21 in Kentucky
I
then
see.
to get
I
married, to get a
see.
license.
Daddy would have
without the,
gladly signed the papers,
Really?
but we didn't want to tell him. We thought we was putting one over 'em.
I see.
We could have got permit from her
Right.
daddy and mama,
Right.
but we just didn't want to. It was a common thing to go to Metropolis to
I
get
see.
married.
Yeah.
So that's what we done.
Well, that's good. So you didn't have a big wedding then? You just went
No,
over
we
there
just
with
went over there.
No, I
with
was
your-
standing in front of a big mirror, kind of like our Mendes got there, while we were getting married. And Bob had carried me across a
Muddy yellow.
lawn. They
Oh.
had planted their lawn, and there was boards to
I
step
see.
on. And he had carried me because I had blue high heel shoes to match my outfit. And I looked down and saw everybody's shoes but mine, there was mud on 'em. And I got tickled during the ceremony. But we've had a lot of ups and downs in our time.
So
But
we go,
with the help of the Lord, we've overcome them. Of course, you know about Roger's neck being broken at
Right.
Murray.
Right. Let's go
And-
back and get Roger born first, okay?
Yeah.
And before we...
Well, there was Grandma Ramage, Aunt Nettie Ramage, my mother, and Daddy, I think. He came over and sat in the living room.
I see. Moral
And the
support.
doctor
Right.
and the nurse in that little three-room house. But it happened on a Sunday. It was a very laborious birth. I walked up and down Ashbrook all Sunday from 7:15 till about 7:15 that night. Doctor would make me walk, and I'd get mad, and that's what he wanted to see.
Right.
Finally, I sat down on the side of the porch. I says, I am not walking anymore. But they were watching me. And old Dr. Goodlaw was my doctor. And his wife was in the hospital. Very
died
bad.
a few days later.
Well,
And at Old Riverside, of course. Anyway, he would sleep on my couch, check me, go see about his wife, and come back and check me. And finally, we had our nice little 7 pound and 3/4, I believe, baby boy.
well, this on Sunday, and
On
what day of the year?
July the 30th,
Okay.
1939, and it was hot, and all we had was a 10-inch fan. But
Were you little and tiny then?
yeah,
Yeah,
very, very hard birth,
right.
but it was natural.
Well,
And he was, of course, the most beautiful baby in the world. Well, the third day, they, of course, kept the mom in bed a long time. My aunt had come to stay with me. She was out back washing diapers. I raise up in bed and pick the baby up out of the cradle by my bed, reach in my vanity drawer, get the scissors and give him a boy haircut.
oh,
I thought, if I've got a little boy, he's going to look like a little boy.
so you already had long hair, huh?
Yeah, I had real black, thick,
Well.
curly hair.
Well.
So I had him looking like a little boy. I even managed to pull a pair of rompers out of the drawer and put on him. Aunt Nettie Oliver, that was Daddy's sister that was staying with me, she came in and she said, Lord have mercy, you have ruined that child's good luck for the rest
by
of
cutting
his life.
hair? For pity's sakes.
But I
First I ever heard that superstition.
Yeah.
I had a little boy, and I've still got a big boy.
Right.
And then in 51, I had Michael.
Yeah.
12
you,
and a half years
You
difference.
waited a while
Yeah,
for Mike.
and we've enjoyed our boys.
Indeed.
Well,
Proud of them.
we kept them in school and supported them, with all of our heart and soul. And then when they got ready to go to college, they both of them took jobs in their college town. Roger at Murray, he was working for A&P Grocery Sack Boy at Paducah, and he got a job. The man down there, the manager there, recommended him over at Murray, and he went to work over there at A&P. He worked to help support himself. Mike went to UK after he got through. Both of them got through all they could at Paducah Junior College.
Right.
Mike went to University of Kentucky, and he got a job up there with the video, this kind of business.
Right.
And in the lab up there, video lab,
While he went to school.
while he went to school and helped support himself. And he got his degree for education and education for teaching. Went to Florida and taught 1 year, and while he was down there, he decided he didn't want to be a school teacher. And he come back and made application to go to law school at Lexington, and they accepted him. And he went for his 3 years or whatever it took him to get it. And he graduated in the spring. There wasn't going to be no, he couldn't get a bar exam until fall. And he said, I don't want to wait no 6 months here to get an opportunity to go to get a job. So he learned that they're going to hire a person down there at Miami in the
In the state office.
attorney office.
Right.
So he had already been doing some summer work down there for a law firm and as a secretary, not a secretary, but anyway,
Clerk, probably.
Huh?
Clerk or
clerk
whatever.
or something anyway. He called down there and told the woman that's Janet Reno. You know Janet
Heard
Reno?
that, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Secretary
yeah.
of, what?
She's
Attorney General.
Attorney General.
Was.
Anyway,
Yeah.
he got a hold of her and told her that he would like to make an application for it. She said, well, I wouldn't advise you. Said it's only going to hire one. Said there's going to be several applicants already. There's going to be several applicants. Said I wouldn't advise you to make a trip all the way from Kentucky down here. He said, well, I'm going to be in the area anyway. He's going back down there to Rogers. She said, well, if you're going to be in the area, well, make the application, get your form and make the application. And he knew the date and everything. So he was there and took the application form, filled it out. He thought it'd be 2 or 3 weeks before he'd hear anything from it. I reckon, I don't know whether everybody turned their forms in, applications in, and hung around for a while or what. But anyway, before Mike left the courthouse or the place, her office there, she done pulled his application out, told him to go. She wanted to talk to that boy.
Well,
So they took him in to talk to her, and Mike said he wasn't in there over 15, 20 minutes. She talked to him, questioned him. She said, well, the job's yours. You want it? He said, what do you think? She told him what he could make, so forth.
right.
He said, well, I want it, but he was working for a couple of judges up in Lexington and I think he was getting maybe $1,000 a month, something like that.
I see.
And he said, I've got to want to give them a little
Notice.
time.
Yeah.
She said, I'd expect you to. So anyway, he got the job and worked there for 3 or 4 years, and then he left there and got an opportunity to take an exam for a job up in Tallahassee with the state, not with the county,
Right.
state with the county anyway.
Right.
And he went up there and took the exam, and they accepted him. So he left the job down there at Miami. He was making $35,000 a year, and he left there and come up to Tallahassee for $18,000.
Uh-huh.
But there was an hour's trip every morning and evening,
Was not a good situation in
And-
Miami.
and the danger of the
Right.
roughness down there and everything.
Right.
So he was having to pay $1 a day for rent, park his car,
Yeah.
and gasoline for 40-something miles and time and everything. And he wanted to get out of that environment down there, so he goes up to Tallahassee.
Right.
We got the last and first. We should go back to Bubby. I'm pretty
Yeah.
proud of him too.
Well,
He's
indeed.
a doctor
Why
of
don't you bring
psychology.
him up to about his career days, and that'll
Yeah.
give you a chance to.
Roger worked, went to Murray, first he went to Jackson, then he went to Murray, and he went to BCC. He got his neck broke at Murray on campus. A drunken driver. He was going to the BSU building, and this driver swerved and even crossed the street and hit him and knocked him up against
He
the
was drunk,
street.
the driver was drunk.
Now, was Roger a pedestrian? He wasn't
He
in a
was a
car. He was
pedestrian.
walking down the
He
street.
had come out of his apartment and had started to Baptist Student Union
Right.
building. That was on a Saturday night. Well, they called us and it was pouring down rain
After midnight, about
after midnight, and we creeped up there. I'd even raised the window and cleaned the windshield to see. But we got there, his head would have fit a wash tub. I
Oh, my
thought he's
goodness.
going to die.
Right.
It was so most horrifying thing I ever had to happen to me
Right.
in my life.
Right.
He overcame that. He came, Donald Ray, your brother, helped him go to classes. up there. He couldn't put his clothes on. Had we known the danger, it would never happen. But I wasn't satisfied with their x-rays and everything.
We
So-
wasn't satisfied, not
Well,
you.
we, both of us.
right.
But anyway, we got a whole fire doctor in Paducah, and he sent them to Nashville. And he's the best bone doctor they had then. He called our Sullivan. He said, "You get that boy up here." Said, as soon as you can. Well, Dr. Sullivan didn't tell us not to take him in the car.
Oh.
We put pillows around him, and he rode in the front seat. And he went to Nashville. When we walked in Dr. Hillman's office, he pressed a button and they came in with a stretcher. And
Carried
they
him away.
cut that boy's clothes off of him. They didn't try to save him.
No,
And
we
he
had
was-
to go out and couldn't take him in the hospital that day. We had to stay in a room overnight, and he said, "Be careful stepping off of the curb." Said you could.
Well, I know, but when they did put him in,
When they
and
finally
they sandbagged,
admitted him to the hospital, he was in
Yeah.
bad shape.
they sandbagged.
He was swelled.
He told
No,
us.
the swelling had about gone
it had.
down.
He told us when we went in. Said, "Didn't that doctor down there? He put the X-ray up on the wall under the light." He said, "Didn't them doctors down there see and tell you that boy had a broken neck?" We said, "No." And he
He's-
showed us. He pointed out this little item up on
Those
the
discs, you know.
holds the neck on, keep from jumping off. It was like a grain of corn sticking up there, and it had been
Separated.
broken over.
Yeah, yeah.
It hadn't.
I
It's
see.
still
It didn't
there.
have much to slip to him being paralyzed for life.
So
I look
he,
at Roger today and I think God has given us a miracle.
Right. You can't see it to look at Roger. You wouldn't know it. He may feel it.
he does.
But
He
he
has
undoubtedly
some,
does.
but
You
he
can't
deep
tell
sea
it to see it.
dives. And
Right.
But
he's
we
a
took
happy
him in
person.
that hospital. That doctor took him in there, and he said, talked to us, and he told us. He said, "Now I just came from some kind of a meeting, doctor's meeting, and he said they've got a new, explained a new therapy for this kind of a break, that you put one
Mattress.
mattress on top of another mattress and pull it back until your neck, and let your back of your head lay on the first mattress
Yeah.
over the second mattress there."
Yeah.
And he said, "It'll not cost you anything except the hospital room that we may use a little time on to determine what's going to happen." But said if it don't work, then we got to do surgery and pin his neck, and it'll be restrict movement to about 85 or 90% at best. So we said, "Well, we're agreeable to let you check it." And he put him in that position, and in about 2 days, well, he'd come in 2 or 3 times a day and maybe more often that, and feel of his neck and everything. About the second or third day, he said, "We're making progress. Said it's loosening up."
Well,
And they'd X-ray him every day,
right.
and they finally got him back. It went back pretty like he wanted, and they took him down to the operating room and put him in a cast with his neck
I see.
all the way back like
We
this.
stayed there for 4 weeks or 6 weeks
I don't
while
know,
he was
long
sandbagged. I got a room.
And he kept him like that until he would X-ray him until he thought the calcium had formed enough to hold it.
Uh-huh.
Then he takes him down and puts him in, makes a brace, fits him in a brace, with still holding his head back.
Right.
And prism
Get up and walk
glasses,
some.
he had prism glasses.
And we
I
put
see.
him on the plane, brought him home, and Roger went back to PCC school for some classes, and he walked with a walking stick. We
It's
got
okay.
a picture of him walking with a walking stick with his head
Well,
like that.
looking through those prism glasses.
Yeah,
through the
but
prism
what was
glasses.
so humorous, we were right outside our room was right outside the nurse's station. He had his dad bring his college books there, and with those prism glasses, see, he could study. Well, he'd get tired. He'd say, "Mom, you read my books to me, and I'll get some that way." Well, a ninth grader can't pronounce all those college words, and I'd try. The nurses would listen to us. They said that we were the most humorous patients on that floor. And they would come in and, spend time with us. Well, then they had a library there, and they'd come around. And we needed something funny to help us along, so I read him the Dobie Gillis books. I could read them. And while the orderly was bathing him of a morning, they never changed his bed. They put enough sheets on his bed until
Just to remove
the
one.
sandbag
Right.
deal was over.
Right.
He had draw sheets.
Right.
So this one orderly, Henry, I liked him, and Roger liked him. He'd bathe him and shave him and everything. I would walk about 8 blocks down the street to a little mall and laundry, and I'd do his pajamas, my laundry. And then I'd buy sweet rolls, hot dogs, anything I could find on the way home. We'd have a ball. And, well, we did. We really did.
Well.
We had a ball. If it had not been that we could have a little humor during that stay, we'd both been dead.
Right.
But what was so funny, at night, he wouldn't want me to eat. He'd think of everything. I had to feed him there for a while. And to keep me. Well, I'd leave the building, Vanderbilt Hospital, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Well, I had this big long corridor to walk down to get to the outside. Well, of course, the guards got knowing me, and they'd walk me down this big corridor. And I had to go out of the hospital and a block down, and then about a half a block down to my room, and it was an elderly couple where I lived. They'd leave porch light on for me. But the college boys, I'd usually stop at the drugstore and get me some milk and everything. They learned me, and they would walk me home. It wasn't real dark, but they would, the boys then respected elder people and were nice
Look
to
out
me.
for you.
Well,
And-
we need to get along with
How
that.
long were you? How long was he in the hospital and all of
The
that?
first
What
time
what
he
were we
was
talking
there, I think it was 6 weeks we stayed. Bob came every weekend,
Well,
and he had a way of jingling his keys in his pocket. We could hear him get off the elevator. Roger say, "Here comes Dad." It was, well, as I say, we had a miracle.
yeah, that's
And then he came back and went to PCC. I'd call a cab, and he'd go out there like this, and the cab driver would bring him home. And finished up that year. Where did he go? Did he go to Murray after that, or where did he finish?
He finished it, Murray. He went to, he got able, he
Need to have it on tape,
He
because
got-
He went to Murray, I think, and got a teaching
Yeah,
certificate. And taught
Yeah.
for a year or two, as I recall.
I think so.
Well, he went, he
And then
taught
he
around
went-
here, he taught old Brookport and then up at Grand River.
Right.
And up at Stronghurst,
Stronghurst.
Illinois. And then he come back and went back to Murray and got his master's.
Right.
Well, he and Carol both stayed with us that summer.
And
Stayed
went
on
to
the
Florida to
masters.
teach.
Right.
And then they went on to Florida. Roger finished his master's and doctor's in Florida.
Right.
But we've got a lot to be proud of.
Indeed, you have.
Thankful for.
Right. So in a way, Roger going to Florida resulted in Mike going to Florida, possibly,
Yeah, Mike
because it
worked
gave him
during
a
the summer.
connection there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you all live in Florida too
But
now.
to
for the
start
last
it all,
couple of
her
years.
brother went down there. He had a
Oh.
heart attack.
Oh, I see.
And he had a used car business, and doctor told him, said, you get out of town where you don't have none of this car business to fool with. So
I
he went
see.
down there and found a place and bought.
Okay.
That's what
I
started us
didn't
going down
know
there to
that
visit
was-
him.
I didn't know that
Before
was the-
Roger got out of school, he'd go to Victor's during summer and get
Right.
a road job.
I understand now. I didn't
Mike-
know that before.
Yeah, he'd make money.
Right.
And of course, Victor's thrilled to death with him. Roger's always just like his son.
So I
And-
guess you're wanting to get through
Pretty
quick.
soon,
So
let
what
me
that
ask you,
brings
how
us-
many, you have 4, 5 grandkids?
We have
now. Mike has 2 and Roger has
4.
4.
Four.
We got
And
six.
then we have
And
a
a daughter.
Roger's second wife has a daughter,
Okay.
which
Okay.
But
that
that
would
brings
really
us, I
make-
guess, up to get along with us moving to Tallahassee.
Right.
We bought a motor home after I retired, and we'd go to Tallahassee and stay three or 4 weeks, and then we'd go on down to Homestead and stay
Stay with
6 or 8
Roger.
weeks, and then come back up to Tallahassee and stay 2 or 3 weeks on the way back home. So we'd
Right.
gone 3 or 4 months during the winter. So we began to think about getting rid of the motor home or getting out of it, quit going down there and buying us a place. Well, we looked around down there for 3 or 4 years,
just
one-
looking.
Right.
just looking. So we was going home one trip from down there, the last trip that we was down there with the motor home. We was going home and we decided that,
Now we was in the car that time.
Huh?
We were in the car that time, weren't we?
no, I don't think so. Anyway, we decided that we was going to come home, and Ashbrook had begun to fall apart, upper end.
Well,
We decided we was going to come home and dispose of our property and buy another place here or do something different
see.
to Ashbrook.
We looked at reading and then
So we went home, and the man had told us back earlier that he wanted, several years earlier, that he wanted the opportunity to buy our houses, the 3 of them. We had three of them in a row there.
right.
So I got a hold of him, asked him if he's still interested, and he said, yeah. We agreed on the price, and I said, okay, we're gonna go back to Florida, to Tallahassee, and see what we can find for sure. I said, now, this for sure is gonna be a deal, and he said, it's a concrete deal. So we went down there and looked around, and was about ready to leave and come back home. And Mike had made an appointment with a guy to take us and show us some properties, some houses. So we was about ready to come back home, and this appointment come up or on a Monday or whatever. So he took us out and took us off down this ways, and we didn't like what we saw the first one. Took us, said, well, I got some more ones to show you. Took us the second, and that's the one that we bought. He
Right.
took us to the second house, showed us it, and we both agreed we liked it. And without looking at it together, without looked at it,
Well.
premises and everything, went back to the, met up front there, and we both agreed we liked it. And he said, well, I got another one back over here, not far from there, that I want to show you.
it was in Tallahassee. We're just over the county
I
line.
see.
We went and looked at it, and we didn't even go in or didn't try to go in. I think they was in the process of doing some work on it.
Well, it was up on the hill.
So we didn't look at it really, and we went back out to his vehicle, and I said, well, I guess you want to take time out for lunch, don't you? He said, no, not really. He said, I got plenty of time, got some more I want to show you. I said, we don't need to look at it anymore. If we buy a house in Tallahassee, we're going to buy that one we just left back there.
On Catherine Speed.
And so we went back over there. He took us back to Mike's or something, and we had an appointment to get with him that evening or the next morning or something. So we, in the meantime, we got Mike come home from work, and Donna, and we go over and look at the house, and
Show them.
show it to them,
Right.
see what they thought about it.
Right.
Well, they fell in love with it too. They just
Good.
said you couldn't beat it, price wise, no, they didn't.
Right.
So we got a hold of the man and told him that if he could get it down, they was asking, had it priced for $62,500 on the sales, the brochures.
Right.
And we told the realtor, said, if you can get it down to 60,000,
Uh-huh.
Cash.
we'll buy
We're
it.
making an offer for
Then
that
we'll
much.
put down
Right.
payment and get the process taken care of.
Right.
So he said, I think we can. He said, what we'll do, we'll offer them 58,000, but they won't take it. We said,
They'll
I think,
counter offer with that.
and we agreed though that we wanted the refrigerator and the washer and the dryer, the swing and the window trim. Seemed like it might be something else.
Plants in the yard, nothing. to
Anyway, these items we specified, we wanted to be
Oh, the
left.
child's play set for the
Oh, really?
grandchildren.
Well,
And so we didn't we told, and so he told them that they'd be included with the deal, to leave them there. So he called us back a few hours, told us that, well, they've agreed to accept the offer.
Good.
So we said, well, we'll give you, Mike, we gave him a $1,000 deposit on it. We'd put some money in his account down there. So he gave him a $1,000 deposit on it, and we got out back home and
To sell out.
sell out, get the deeds and everything, get our money up here. Well, we got up here and got a hold of the guy, and he said, well, I don't have but $15,000 right now.
I don't go into all those finances. Let's get it going.
So I said, well, when we get it, and he said, well, if you let me have your deeds, I'll take them down.
Get a
sign the
loan.
Deeds, and I take them down, and they'll go ahead and process it.
Right.
And I said, well, we might do that. So I talked to Mike, and he said, no, don't you take them deeds down, don't you sign them deeds till you get the money. Don't you let anybody have them deeds and get the money. So we had enough money, like about $13,000, I think, had enough money to pay off. And I called him and I said, told him what I was up against. I said, you got any money? He said, yeah, I got a little over $13,000 in the bank. And
That was
of course,
good. That was excellent.
I said,
You've
well,
always worked together.
I said, well, I need it. He said, no, we don't need to lose that deal.
No, that's right.
So
Well,
I
we
went out
had
and
her
got
sale.
got the check and took it over to the bank and put it in the bank with what money we already had,
Yeah.
enough to send it down to the realtor to pay off the deal, make the
Right.
deal. So that's the way we wound up.
We
Yeah,
got
That
the
was
house.
a big change.
We had her sale. What was so funny, Mike and Donna came up to help move us. Mike was going to drive the van, the truck.
I see.
Roger did too. He came
Now
up.
wait, I'm going to get to that. Anyway, we looked up the next day. Here was Roger in a rented car. He had flew in. He just couldn't stand it. He wanted to see home again.
One more time while you lived there.
Yeah. So they loaded the truck and they talked in Spanish and nobody could understand them but Donna and Susan. She wasn't there, of course. And Pig Latin. I'd give anything if I made tape of us moving. But Roger left out and he was crying when he left out to go to Louisville. He had catch his plane in Louisville. Becca told me after we got moved, she says, Granny, she said, Mom and Dad, they wanted us to go on first, and we went on. Said they sat there and just cried and cried and cried. And said then we cried and said, Daddy said, this has been my home all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And we all go by it, but it's not home
No,
to me
no,
anymore.
it's not
I
the
didn't
same.
care about seeing it.
Right.
But that's the ties. See, Mom and Daddy lived across the street and Victor on the corner.
No, you don't live somewhere 48, 47 years and not
Yeah.
have ties.
Roger's
Absolutely.
first wife, when they come up here, they went by to see it.
Right.
Her and Kevin and Jennifer, and they cried. They said,
Well,
Yeah, Carol spent a lot of time with us, living with us, going to school. And,
well, are you happy down there?
yeah,
we just miss our family here.
That's
our
Go up
friends,
there
we
and
had-
visit.
Understand that.
you have 50
Absolutely.
years of friends
Right.
and family to
Right.
leave. It's hard.
Right. Right.
Actually, it's more than that. But the telephones work.
That's right. And visits.
Yeah.
Visits help. You're not
Since
tied
then-
down there all time, all year. You can come up
Yeah.
here just like you are now.
Since then,
That's
we've
good.
lost WD, which is a great loss
Right.
to us, and Violet, of
Her
course.
sister.
My sister, dearly beloved sister. But we still like it. It's home.
Right. That's
It
good.
really is. It's home.
That's good.
And we could not have chosen a neighborhood in the whole heart of Tallahassee, even though we knew Mike's neighbor,
Mhm.
that we like and get along with him better than we do in our little circle.
Excellent.
The man across the street was Becca's bus driver in school. People next door are caring for our things now.
Well,
It's just perfect.
well, that's good. That's a good report.
It's just perfect.
Good flat yard.
And we want,
Or lot, no grade or anything, you know, to
Right.
have to be pushing up or
Right.
down.
and John Norman and Lee Ray and Ruthie are the only ones that have visited us in the Ramage family.
Well, you've
And we're
only been
looking
there.
for more.
That's good. You've only been there, what, 2 years or less
Be
than
2 years,
Little
ninth
under
of
2
this
years.
month.
Right. Just a little under 2
Yeah.
years. Well, that's a good report. We've done well. We've done long
yeah.
and well.
And
This will,
we hope we have a good life together.
well, we hope you have many more good years.
Right.
Well, we'll have some, but not when
Well-
you get in the 80s. Well, you haven't got a whole lot of years to look
Well,
forward
we want to make them
80 from
happy
100
and
is
healthy.
20, so,
Well, yeah,
you know,
We want them to be happy and healthy.
healthy and happy. That's
Yeah.
all you can pray for.
Yeah.
And you've done your praying, and you've relied on the Lord a lot
Right, right.
through a lot of the things that you've explained here, as you've said.
Well, he's saw us through, and he'll see us through, right?
Yeah.
Good, very good. Well, you going to give us a sample of that song you used to sing or not?
No, I don't.
No?
Yeah,
not much.
sing it.
I think he could do it.
I don't know how much of a.
Sing
Well,
it,
even
my
as a
little
voice.
girl.
Say some of the words, and then it might tune might come to you. Just start saying some of the words.
Of
to
what?
The
That-
song that you sang when
You
one of
sing
those
that,
songs.
my
you-
little girl, I love you.
Yeah.
I forgot the words to it.
Oh, but I have to say it.
Little girl, you know I love you. You know I love you very much. I keep thinking the words of it. Anyway, that's the tune and the.
Yeah. When you sang that, it was always Opal, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just cry.
Okay, well, that's it.
Okay.
Appreciate you doing this, and
Well, we appreciate
we'll,
that.
we will see how it
Okay.
came out.
We'll probably want to get you to make a copy someday.
No problem. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Love you.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
Pleasure.
you for making it.
Real pleasure. Did already. Yeah.
Are you
Good.
through? You cutting this off now?
I have to have help getting up these
Okay.
I was ready to
Okay. That's a long time to say.
I like
Down.
Tape and lay it
Oh,
on.
no, I'll do
No,
it
no,
without
no, no.
that.
Come on.